Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I'm going to be talking about Hasbro's announcement of AI to be used as a creative source for the future of Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. If you recall, many of us in January of 2023 were quite vocal about what we saw with the OGL 1.1 leak and also some of the projected subscription models for D&D Beyond and how that related to the different tiered level of the subscription model and what it actually allowed for at in comparison between the very low, whether it be free access to a $10 subscription model to the upper tiers. And at that time and all throughout 2023, there has been a real back and forth about AI art and AI writing and our concerns because that subscription model that Hasbro either had unintentionally revealed or it was leaked or whatever indicated that their tabletop, their virtual tabletop game, in essence, was not going to give you anything but an AI dungeon master unless you broke into the upper tiers, the beyond the $10 a month subscription cost. And I was certainly very vocal about it all throughout, and many others were as well. So now Hasbro has come out within the last week, let's say, and this was Chris Cox, the CEO of Hasbro, and he, of course, announced that he is very optimistic about the future of AI as a creative source for the future of both D&D and Magic the Gathering. So let me get to at least one article. I'm going to break down that article, and then I will come back on this view and give you some of my thoughts on it. So let me switch, and here we go. So I apologize for the ads here. Let's close those out a little bit. So Hasbro sees, so this is from Wargamer, wargamer.com, I guess. And Hasbro CEO optimistic about AI in D&D and Magic the Gathering's future. Future Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering content could come from artificial intelligence if the bets of Hasbro CEO are right. I'm not even going to say could come. It will come because this is their way of eliminating the cost of having writers, whether in-house or freelance, hired freelance, as well as artists. Many people know that one of the most expensive parts of publishing is getting artwork. And if they can use AI art, then that is essentially practically free for them to generate and then use. The article is written by Molly Russell. A recent interview with Chris Cox reveals the Hasbro CEO has high hopes for artificial intelligence and content creation. According to the March 1st interview by VentureBeat, Cox foresees a future where AI can generate content and game scenarios for Hasbro's major IPs, including Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Cook cites a few experiments Hasbro has already conducted with AI in the interview. Yes, some of those few experiments have been to include AI art on the down low in some of their hardcover books already. These included a virtual Ouija board, yes, those are a Hasbro property, and a free online version of Trivial Pursuit with AI generated questions. The last one apparently boosted the original trivia board game sales by 30%. Cox radiates excitement, but it seems that the tabletop gaming community is much more skeptical of artificial intelligence. Hasbro's subsidiary, Wizards of the Coast, has already apologized twice for using AI art in content. No, they apologized for getting caught using it. They are not apologetic for actually having used it. Once in a Dungeons and Dragons book and once an MTG ad after promising to limit the use of AI. Remember, limit does not mean remove. Several smaller tabletop RPG publishers banned AI content from their products, claiming they wish to protect the livelihoods of human creators. Additionally, the RPG community has prohibited its use on Dungeon Masters Guild, one of the largest online D&D marketplaces. Many fans have become hyper vigilant in their search for AI to the point that false accusations prompted Wizards to deny its use in an upcoming D&D player's handbook. I would still question whether or not that denial holds water anymore. Despite concerns from the community, those in charge seem more open to AI. Head MTG designer Mark Rosewater previously said he believed the technology would one day be used as a design tool in the trading card game. For example, this seems to echo Cox's dreams of AI content. They weren't either asked or they haven't said why. What is their purpose for using the AI content? Let's continue. Hasbro CEO is conscious of the company's responsibilities, though. In the VentureBeat interview, he repeats the word respect several times. These experiments apparently must respect creators and their ownership of work, as well as the consumers of this content, young and old. This is just because they have what has come out of the use of AI is the AI is using segments of art that is existing out on the internet, and it's kind of bringing it together. And sometimes that art is easily identifiable to the original work. And so the last thing Hasbro wants to do is to have to deal with a lawsuit from an artist whose work is so represented in the AI product that it becomes a copyright infringement. And so when they talk about respecting the work, what they mean is that they don't want to get caught plagiarizing or copyright infringements of artwork or writing. The company's experiments with AI seem to be in very early research and development stages, but Cox says we will see more ideas from Hasbro about how to incorporate AI into its digital and physical games in the future. With trust in Wizards of the Coast at a major low after the OGL controversy and Hasbro layoffs last year, we wonder how the D&D and MTG communities will receive this news. Well, I'm telling you, we're basically saying we knew this was coming along, and Hasbro has still not explained how the use of AI is going to produce a better product than the use of actual writers and artists. You can read more about Chris Cox's thoughts in the Venture interview. For more updates, be sure to follow Wargamer on Google News, and so on and so forth. So there you have the the reveal, and again, coming straight from the CEO of Hasbro, that their full intentions are to incorporate AI into as a creative source for future D&D and MTG. In another interview, or at least in another article, it laid out that from that interview, Chris Cox actually mentioned the 50 years of content that Wizards of the Coast has for Dungeons and Dragons, 30 plus years for Magic the Gathering, and how that content can be put into a database and then generate thousands of adventures, of dungeons, of, just thousands upon thousands of pages of content, which can then be packaged and sold, all right, on their hub, or elsewhere in other means of buying D&D or Magic the Gathering content. And in my opinion, what we're going to end up seeing in both Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering is a reliance on AI to do all of the writing and all of the art. And if you've looked at these pieces of art, and if you've looked at or read the writing that a chat GDP or any of those any of those other AI writing programs, it takes all of the for the lack of a better term, all the soul out of it. When you look at those pieces of art, they're lifeless. There's no dynamic aspect of them. You don't get a sense of emotion. You don't get a sense of movement. You don't have true colors, and shadowing and all of that to it. It looks like a computer generated image, and that's why it's fairly simple sometimes to actually just look at it and say, hey, you know what? That finger is completely bent out of whack, or there's 6 fingers on one hand, or there is an arrow through the person's shoulder where the point of the arrow is out here, but the feather is coming, the feather portion is in a totally different spot. It really does depend on the prompts that you put into it, and you have to continuously tweak those prompts in order to get an image that eventually makes sense, but you can still identify it. And the writing is no different. I have used some of those writing things just to see how they actually work and to see what they do. And it will just keep on scrolling off based on your prompts, a story page after page after page after page. And then when I stopped it and took a look at it, it was like I wouldn't have followed that. I wouldn't have followed it in that direction, or it just seemed to roll off too easily, and not have any real draw of attention to it. It just was bland, to be honest with you. And this is what they're looking to do and use for creative sources. There's only one explanation that I can think of, and that is because it's a lot cheaper to do. There's no other quality of life that you're going to increase on content in either game system, Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering, They're not even making the claim this will produce better looking art or this will produce a high quality game adventure. That will be engaging and exciting and fun to run. They're just saying it's going to produce thousands of these things with very, very little real effort put into them. And so that's why, and I'm sure I haven't seen anyone do a video that spoke about, this is a positive for the hobby. I think that this is a tremendous negative for the hobby, other than the fact that those OSR and independent publishers and small publishers who are rejecting the use of AI art and actually putting the stamp on their products that we are not using AI art in this product. I think that it will help them because people who actually care about not just supporting writers out there and artists out there. I mean, that's part of it as well. But if you actually care about your what you're running in your game, to actually have a soul behind it, to actually feel like, hey, a creative person actually wrote this thing or drew this picture or whatnot. Again, I think it's a self-inflicted wound by Hasbro. Not just coming out and admitting it, but even wanting to do this. It goes to show you, at least in my opinion, how they are really not concerned about the quality of their product. They're not creative. They're not worried about creative. They're not worried about innovation. They're only worried about making the cheapest product that they can to extract the most profit from it. And I mean, I understand companies are in the business to make money, but they usually care about the quality of their product, and I don't see that from Hasbro. They really don't care about the quality of their product, and so that's why I am so against this idea. AI art is bland, in my opinion. AI writing is bland, in my opinion, and AI Dungeon Masters is not going to produce an experience, on the virtual tabletop that is better than playing solo session of Skyrim or playing Baldur's Gate 3 with in cooperative play with a group of friends, and then just talking over talking over a voice application and just chatting with each other or whatever while you're playing the game. That is more interesting to me than it would be to be dealing with an AI dungeon master. So I'm going to leave it there. That's pretty much my take on this whole idea. Once again, I see it as another failure of Hasbro to truly understand the hobby that they are participating in, and they don't really have a true either understanding or respect for the IPs that they unfortunately hold. So you'll have the great remainder of your weekend. I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. And just feel free to comment, agree, disagree, and just have a great upcoming week. And you all take care. Thanks for stopping in.